here is a collection of my Cowboy action guns. You've probably seen these two here just recently. These are Uberti, I should say, yeah, Uberti, but they're made by, or modified by Taylors & Co. 357s. And basically what I use these for is they're competition models. There's smoke wagons. You've probably heard of those if you know anything about Cowboy action guns. A really great gun. Already done a review on those. You can see that on my website. Also, I've got a Rossi Model 92 in 357 that I'm actually going to be doing a review on this as well here shortly. But basically, and then we've got the gun that I'm actually going to be talking about today, which is a Winchester Model 97 pump shotgun. And this is the only pump shotgun that you can actually use in cowboy action shooting. And the reason I chose it was because it's very similar to my 3-gun setup in that the feel and the weight and the way that it reacts is very similar to my 3-gun, and so I kind of was hoping for a little bit of crossover as far as skill set. So anyway, that is a 30-inch model. You notice it's got a really long barrel on it. Not typically something you see in cowboy action, just because most people want to cut this barrel off down to 20 inches or so. I'm not really interested in doing that because it's such an original gun. This gun particularly was made, or built I should say, in 1903, in December of 1903. And if you remember that date or that month in history, that is the same month that the Wright brothers flew in Kitty Hawk. So as this was being made at the Winchester plant, the Wright brothers were flying their first flight. So that tells you kind of how old it is. It actually works almost as well as new. It's a really solid built shotgun. Obviously it's empty. I just want to clarify that. So basically what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a little bit about that shotgun, kind of give you a little bit of history, show you how it breaks down, because it does break down, and kind of go over some basics of it, just to kind of give you a heads up on just some different options for shooting cowboy action. So we'll get back to that in just a minute. Okay, so here we are back again. Just wanted to kind of clear out all the other guns that I had sitting up here. So basically this is, like I said before, a model Model 97 Winchester. Pump shotgun, holds 5 rounds. Sometimes you can squeeze 6 in. Not really something I'm worried about, because in cowboy action you're only allowed to load 2 rounds at a time, or 1 at a time depending on the scenario. And so the reality is having more than 2 round capability is pretty much a waste of time. So anyway, again, going back to the kind of the history of this, it was built in 1903, as I mentioned earlier. And in December of 1903, I figured that out by the serial number on it, which is down here actually, and kind of looked it up, went online, asked a few questions of some experts, and they said, oh yeah, that was built in 1903, so it's well over 100 years plus old. And when I first got it, as anybody that's seen my videos before, I go to Cabela's a lot and buy guns off of their gun library. I keep getting really good deals, so I can't complain about that. I got this one from Cabela's gun library once again. Went in, was looking for something similar to this or a dual, or a double barrel coach gun, which is the other gun that you can use in cowboy action, and came across this, got it for a steal. I mean, it was like less than 300 bucks plus tax. I mean, out the door, and I couldn't believe it. And they said, well, take it, try it out, because I looked at it and went, it looks really old. They're like, yeah, it's pretty much an antique gun. And so I talked to the guy there, and he said he was a cowboy action guy as well. And he said, oh yeah, these are well used, they're well made. You don't have to worry about it. You know, go shoot it, take it for a couple of weeks, and if you have any issues with it all, bring it back, and we'll, you know, trade it back in or take it back and give you money back. So, first thing I did was went to the trap range and proceeded to put, you know, 3 rounds of trap through it. That's 75 rounds total. Got a lot of people interested in what the heck is this antique gun this guy's using, and kind of got nothing but questions while I was there. But anyway, went through the 75 rounds, and she just performed perfectly, flawlessly. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this is a, you know, over 100-year-old gun. I expected some issue with it, but you know, I was surprised when it came out perfect. So, say the least, long story short, been using it ever since. Been to, you know, half dozen or so matches with it. Performed flawlessly, has done great. I have had a couple of people ask me, you know, why is it such a long barrel and what are you going to do about that? And I'm like, well, I'm going to leave it. Because I come from a background where my grandfather was a gun collector, my father is a gunsmith, and the last thing you want to do with an antique gun like this is alter it, change it, reblue it, you know, do anything, you know, clean, do more than just clean up the stock and the foregrip and all that jazz. You just want to kind of leave it, because we're, you know, supposed to be purveyors of, you know, antique guns. You don't want to go in and start messing around with stuff and, you know, fixing it. And I don't really need to fix it because it works just perfectly the way it is. Although it would be nice to have a shorter barrel, not really interested in start cutting and hacking and whacking on the crazy thing just because it doesn't meet my, you know, expectation of what, you know, the right gun is. So I'm going to leave it alone, just because my kids are probably going to thank me in the next 20 years or so when they get it. They're going to go, oh, glad Dad didn't chop it down, because now it's worth at least a couple bucks more than it would have been otherwise. So, and not only that, but again, you know, I can use it for multiple things. If I want to go duck hunting, or, you know, I want to use it for skeet or trap or whatever, and I like I said, first thing I did was took it out and shot it. It's a bit on the heavy side, but at least it did its job, and, you know, it knocked down a few discs, you know, the trap. So it did okay. My biggest issue was the user in this case. But anyway, did its job, did it well, and didn't, you know, blow up or fall apart. So I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to leave it alone. Anyway, moving along. So basically, this is the first working version, or one of the first working versions of our modern pump shotgun. It's clearly, you know, seen some better days, but again, I got it for a song, and it just works. They obviously took and replaced the butt pad at some point in life. It's pretty squishy, and, you know, it still works. So I'm like, you know what, leave it alone. So I went ahead and you know, cleaned it up, you know, oiled it up, and did, you know, what you want to do to keep it operable. But for the most part, it's been a really great gun. And again, I mean, obviously it's, you know, seen some better days at some point in life, but it's not dirt. That's just from, you know, years of firing shotgun shells. Not something I would actually use to shoot any kind of slugs through, or any kind of high brass through, because again, it is still an antique firearm, and I'm not that brave. It's just the idea that I can take it out and run it through its paces and it just works, you know, I'm okay with that. So other than that, you know, a lot of people might have an issue with, you know, this kind of gun because it's really close to your hand here, but, you know, as long as you think about it and don't, you know, get in the way of the action when you're shooting, you don't need to have your hand all the way up in front. So you just kind of think about it, and, you know, it just does its job. So you just got to kind of deal with it. But there's kind of a cool little party trick the thing does. I'm going to see if I can do this in some kind of meaningful fashion here. So if you turn this little knob down here, you know, you press it and turn it, you can actually slide this forward, and this breaks down into 2 halves. You know, again, being that it's got the extra long barrel on it, it's, you know, it's not a tidy package, but, you know, you can break it down, you can do all your cleaning and, you know, all that kind of stuff in here. Go in with a brush and, you know, or rag or whatever, and the barrel is in decent condition still. So again, you know, it's kind of one of those cool little party tricks that you don't normally see when it comes to a shotgun. That's not something you can typically see when you're looking at a shotgun these days. You're pretty much stuck with the fact that it's going to be, you know, a 40, 50-inch long, you know, piece of equipment. But this is nice that you can break it down. Again, it's not really something I leave it half, you know, broken down, because, yeah, I don't need to. But basically the idea here is that you've got an easy way to get into the action and to, you know, clean things up and, you know, do everything you need to do in a manner that's easier to deal with than if it were a full, solid, you know, you can't break it down kind of scenario. So anyway, pretty cool little party trick. You know, thought I'd give you a heads up on that. This has also got the neat little trick that you can actually do slam firing, if you've ever heard of that. Basically that means that you can hold the trigger down and just slam fire it. Yeah, pretty cool little idea. I actually tried it when I went out shooting with my son out in the woods a few weeks ago, and made the mistake of not, you know, recording it. But anyway, pretty cool effect. And if you look on the internet just a little bit around on YouTube and such, you can see them slam firing. The Winchester Model 97 slam fire videos are out there, and it's pretty cool stuff. Matter of fact, the trench gun version of this was used in World War I, and all the folks on the other side were all griping and complaining because this gun was, you know, too much of an advantage, because you could go in and, you know, blast off 5 or 6 rounds in a trench and clear it, you know, really fast, rather than what they had, which was basically a lever action or something like that that's not as quick. So this was almost, it was like the semi-auto of its day back in World War I, and it was, you know, just an awesome piece of equipment to have back then. So, but anyway, yeah, it's been fun. Like I said, I've used it I put multiple hundred rounds through it. It's done a great job. It has had 0 issues. It's built like a tank, literally. And, you know, honestly, even if I were to just buy a shotgun just to go, you know, duck hunting, or to, you know, hang out and you know, do some skeet and some trap, this would do it. The only downside in that particular case is it's a bit heavy. But, you know, you get what you get, and if the price was right, and, you know, at some point in life, I'd imagine, as time goes on, that it'll actually go up in value as well. But I ain't gonna hold my breath on that one. It's not my point. But anyway, other than that, appreciate you watching. Just wanted to kind of give an overview, and again, just another one of my recent acquisitions for doing cowboy action stuff. And like I say, I'm going to be doing a video on the Rossi 92. That's a much newer rifle, but still an interesting, cool piece of equipment. And so anyway, stay tuned for that, and we'll get that going as well. Otherwise, thanks for watching my videos. Appreciate it. Like and subscribe if you'd like, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one.